After she asked, "May I have your leftovers?" The amazing transformation that changed everything. Lisa stood in the quiet glow of the classroom, ink smudged on her hands, the remnants of a grueling day still echoing in her mind. Parent-teacher conferences had drained her. Exhausted, she had skipped lunch, using every spare moment to prep for the endless streams of anxious parents. Why did she always sacrifice her own needs? A sharp rap on the door brought her back, and there stood Chloe, the ambitious seventh grader who blazed through worksheets with the intensity of a comet. "May I have your leftovers?" Chloe asked, her voice small but bright. Lisa blinked, confusion twisting in her gut, the weight of her emotions shifting. Leftovers? Her homemade lasagna? A dish filled with sunshine days spent in her mother's kitchen was so innocuous, yet loaded with memories. "Sure, Chloe." As they chatted about the taste, Lisa felt warmth seep into her bones. Was this the intimacy she craved? All at once, she realized this wasn't just a casual exchange. It was a lifeline, a spark igniting long-dormant dreams she had buried beneath layers of responsibility, caring for her aging parents, keeping the classroom traditions alive. She couldn't be just the teacher, could she? An unwelcome voice scoffed at the idea of chasing ambitions like childish daydreams. Before she could think too long, Chloe shared her aspirations of becoming a journalist, all fire and determination. Lisa's heart twisted, longing to mirror that passion that once bubbled in her own belly. The journal she had packed away in the back of a closet suddenly flickered in her mind, pages drunk with ideas, stories, and untold adventures. Was it too late to reach for it again? Before we continue, I need to tell you about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now, let's continue. But as the idea of reviving her writing flared to life, whispers followed. Her colleagues, the gleam of judgment in their eyes. Fanciful distractions, they'd say. Her stomach twisted, anxiety gnawing her insides. What if they were right? What if she risked everything for a spark that never reignited? As days turned to weeks, Lisa found solace in Chloe's unyielding belief. They shared late-night brainstorming sessions, laughter bubbling between them like electricity. But when a prestigious literary magazine announced a short story contest, fear clawed at Lisa's chest, echoing louder than the excitement. Could she really submit her work, or was it merely a fantasy for a fleeting moment? Unable to evade the truth any longer, Lisa faced a critical juncture. Should she pursue her voice or sink back into the safe cocoon of teaching? The tumult of doubt spiraled in her mind as Chloe's bright expectations loomed over her like a relentless spotlight. Now, as she prepared to confront the looming shadows from her colleagues, doubt settled in like an unwelcome friend. Would she charge ahead and reclaim her identity as a writer, or retreat, crushed by the weight of inadequacy? A tumult of emotions churned within her, caught in a storm, on the precipice of her new life, or a return to complacency. What path would she take as the countdown to the contest deadline ticked relentlessly closer? As the clock ticked steadily toward the contest deadline, Lisa sat on her living room floor, surrounded by scattered papers filled with half-formed thoughts and characters aching to leap off the page. The evening light strained to illuminate the words that eluded her grasp, their final form just out of reach. How had something so simple as sharing a meal with a student turned into an avalanche of resurrected dreams? The need to provide for others had overshadowed her own aspirations for years. Teachers were often seen as nurturers, and Lisa embodied that role wholeheartedly. Still, staring at her jumbled notes, she wondered if she had ever allowed herself to embrace her own identity beyond her job title. The students saw her as a guide, But who was guiding Lisa? With resolve born from weeks of budding hope, she pushed her fear aside and began to type, letting her fingers dance across the keyboard in fits and starts. The story emerged like a hesitant sunrise on the horizon, brightening her immediate world. Each word she wrote infused her with a sense of lightness she hadn't felt in ages, stirring a long-buried sense of ambition. But self-doubt crept back, wrapping around her thoughts like creeping vines. What made her worthy of competing in this contest? What if her voice was dismissed, lost among the cacophony of seasoned writers? Just then, her phone buzzed, jolting her from her spiral. It was a message from Chloe, brimming with excitement about a school project. "Can't wait to show you what I've been working on. You'll love it." A surge of excitement enveloped Lisa. Chloe's passion awakened something within her, and she realized how vibrant that energy could be. "Maybe this can be my voice too," Lisa mused, glancing back at her notes. Fueled by Chloe's belief, Lisa decided to share her progress with a trusted colleague, nurturing both her vulnerability and her aspiration for validation. The weight of her hidden desires seemed to lighten just a fraction. The thought of acceptance had the power to counterbalance her fears. The next day, she found herself pacing the hall, her heart racing as if trying to escape her chest. The room buzzed with chatter, teachers mingling over morning coffee, the air rich with camaraderie. She spotted Mia, a fellow educator known for her imaginative storytelling in the classroom. What if Mia saw merit in her story? "Hey, Mia," she greeted, forcing a smile despite her insides swirling. "Do you have a moment to look at something I'm working on?" Mia's eyes lit up, and she nodded enthusiastically. "Of course, I'd love to." The invitation felt like a cold plunge into uncertainty, a reckoning of the self she had been avoiding. As they sat together at a worn table in the teacher's lounge, Lisa's heart was a chaotic rhythm of anticipation and fear. As she started to read the opening lines, Lisa felt exposed, her vulnerabilities surfacing like unanswered prayers. Would Mia recognize the value in her words, or would she clench her jaw as judgment crept into her gaze? But as Lisa shared her dreams, she discovered an unexpected tide of confidence. With every phrase she uttered, she reclaimed fragments of herself, lost in the suffocating routine of teaching. When Lisa finished, Mia leaned back, jaw relaxed and a smile widening. "This is incredible, Lisa. You have such a unique voice." Surprised by the flood of encouragement, Lisa dared to dream bigger. What if this moment was the first step toward a greater journey? But as the conversation pressed forward, the creeping doubts began gnawing at the edges of her newfound affirmation. What if Mia was just being kind? What if she shared her piece only to be met with indifference? With the deadline looming ever closer, Lisa faced a pivotal decision. Should she submit her piece and risk rejection, or protect herself from the potential sting of failure? The choice lay heavy in her hands, the weight of her own questions grounding her swirling ambitions. She could step into the light or retreat back into the shadows of familiarity. In that moment, a singular truth crystallized within her. The urgency for growth and authenticity could not be smothered anymore. Located at the precipice of her dilemma, Lisa contemplated her next move. Would she dare to send her submission, unleashing the storm of emotions within her and embracing transformation? The time to face herself had arrived, and with it, the looming specter of possibility hung close. What awaited her on the other side of this leap was uncertain, but the thrill of unknown potential pulsed in her veins. The sun dipped lower in the sky, casting a warm glow that wrestled with the coolness of evening. Lisa stared at her computer screen, the blinking cursor taunting her stillness like a persistent wave crashing against a cliff. The characters from her story were alive in her mind, their hopes and fears dancing insistently, yet she remained frozen, a spectator in her own creative journey. Fear and longing battled within her, one tempting her to retreat while the other urging her to take a risk. Taking a deep breath, she closed her eyes, envisioning Mia's encouraging smile. The urging words from her colleague echoed in her head. You have such a unique voice." Suddenly, a vivid vision of standing on that proverbial stage and sharing her story with an audience stirred within her. What if this was more than just a chance to compete? What if it was an opportunity to reclaim a part of herself buried beneath years of obligation? With renewed determination, she opened her eyes and gazed at her notes scattered across the floor. Each paper represented a fragment of her, a piece that longed for acknowledgement. "I can do this," she whispered to herself, as though saying it aloud would solidify her resolve. Casting aside self-doubt, she clicked on the document that held her draft, rereading her words with fresh eyes. They pulsed with a raw honesty she had only previously reserved for her thoughts. Imagine a world where she could share the stories that twisted and turned in her psyche, fueling her inside. How often had she withheld her voice from the narrative of her own life? Just as she began feeling momentum, her phone buzzed again. This time, it was a group message from her colleagues, each sharing their excitement for the upcoming contest. But instead of joining their camaraderie, Lisa felt a surge of isolation. Why hadn't she opened up to them sooner? Perhaps their collective energy could amplify hers, transforming her fear into fierce affirmation. Suddenly, inspiration struck. What if she planned a small gathering with her colleagues to discuss their submissions? It could be a platform for shared vulnerabilities and encouragement amidst their individual pursuits. That idea sparked a flame, her desire to connect blending seamlessly with her ambition to grow. Perhaps by forming a community of support, she could lessen her own apprehension and feed off the shared passions of her peers. Lisa picked up her phone, her fingers dancing across the screen as she typed out a message suggesting a casual get-together to share their contest pieces. Each word ignited her spirit, and as she pressed send, the knot of fear in her gut loosened ever so slightly. The notion that she could be a catalyst for others as well was invigorating. What began as an internal struggle transformed into an outward gesture of alliance in creativity, her insecurities swapping spaces with hope. Waiting for responses, Lisa glanced around her living room, the clutter of paper reminding her of the chaos she often felt inside. She resolved that in the coming days, she would not only work on refining her piece, but also challenge herself to be present with the stories of those around her. Interacting with Mia and others would be a new crucible, a safe space for trial and error, creativity, and failure. Each comment from her colleagues arriving in quick succession filled her with a mixture of excitement and trepidation. They were eager to meet, and her heart swelled with a sense of belonging that she had long denied herself. But beneath that excitement lurked an undercurrent of anxiety. This commitment may have been more demanding than she anticipated. Sharing her writing, her soul laid bare, could invite scrutiny that felt. With the clock ticking toward the deadline, a new challenge loomed. Could she withstand the vulnerability of sharing her life and works, or would it lead to further self-doubt? Lisa stood at the threshold, the weight of her decision still present, but evolving into a determination tinged with anticipation. The moment of active participation in her own unfolding process awaited. As the sun finally dipped below the horizon and darkness swallowed the room, Lisa, invigorated by the risks ahead, prepared to step forward into a new chapter of self-discovery. Would this journey of connection and self-expression reveal strengths she never knew she possessed? The prospect loomed near, exciting yet daunting, beckoning her toward the mosaic of experiences that could redefine who she believed she could be. The air felt electric as Lisa stood in front of the mirror. The reflection staring back at her was both familiar yet foreign. Today was different. She was no longer just a passive participant in her life. The small gathering she'd proposed loomed ahead, a challenge fraught with the potential for growth and revelation. Each heartbeat pulsed with a mixture of anticipation and dread, and she took a moment to solidify her resolve. She had spent the last few days revisiting her draft, but it was more than just refining syntax. It was about weaving her truth into the fabric of her storytelling. Layer by layer, she uncovered the tenderness behind her words, revealing parts of herself she had concealed for so long. But lurking beneath her newfound courage was the specter of doubt. How would her colleagues receive her raw honesty? Would they see her vulnerability as a strength or weakness? With each passing hour, the questions multiplied, weighing heavily on her heart. She daydreamed about the gathering, imagining the laughter, camaraderie, and the fear of exposure flickering across her colleagues' faces. This was an opportunity for them all to transcend the ordinary, yet it was intimidating, peering into the abyss of potential criticism. How could she turn that trepidation into empowerment? Earlier that day, she had met with Mia for coffee. Lisa had watched her friend slide easily into the ease of conversation, the way the words rolled off her tongue, laced with confidence. It inspired Lisa, yet at the same time, she felt like she was standing in the shadow of Mia's brilliance. How could she cultivate that same ease when her very soul felt like it was on display? Would there be a moment when everyone else saw the fortitude behind her trepidation? As the hour approached, Lisa transformed her anxious energy into action. She set up her living room, creating an inviting atmosphere. Candles flickered like tiny beacons of hope, and her favorite soft music played in the background to drown out her inner turmoil. A collection of snacks lay ready on the table, but what she really craved was the nourishing exchange of ideas and emotion that came with sharing stories. The doorbell finally rang, and her colleagues began to arrive. Each greeting carried an electric charge, a palpable connection stenching out anxiety like an incantation. As they settled around her in a casual circle, the sensation of belonging washed over her like a wave. Yet she felt like a fish out of water, exposed and vulnerable, clinging to the edges of her own narrative. When it was time to share, Lisa's heart raced. She was struck by a sudden wave of clarity. This was not merely about her story, but the collective experiences they all carried. Her words began to flow, a cascade of thoughts she had been afraid to vocalize. As she spoke, she noticed the attentiveness in their eyes, the supportive nods encouraging her to dig deeper. She felt the tension begin to dissolve, replaced by an infectious eagerness. In that moment, relief flooded her as she realized her fears were shadows, illusions that dissipated when illuminated by the light of shared vulnerability. With every recounting of her challenges and triumphs, she could see them beginning to connect the dots of their own truths. Yet, as she completed her segment, the enormity of her commitment settled back on her shoulders. They'd been supportive, yes, but criticism could still loom ahead. Their reactions bore a weight she had to confront soon, not only from them, but also the judgment she had imposed on herself for too long. Was she truly ready to embrace this new version of herself? The evening ended with laughter and deeper discussions about creativity and fear. Each person left with an invigorating sense of collaboration, but Lisa remained at the door a moment longer, a myriad of thoughts swirling in her mind. This was not a mere gathering. It was a subtle shift in her narrative. The bond created by sharing opened a door to a broader world of possibility, but it also warned her of forthcoming challenges she had yet to face. The task of her newfound resolve awaited beyond the night. Would she continue to share her work, or would she retreat behind walls of self-doubt once more? As she turned to clean up the remnants of inspiring conversations, a resolve flickered within her. The next part of her journey was beginning, but what awaited her just around the bend was still cloaked in uncertainty. Would she rise to meet the next challenge that her evolving identity demanded? Lisa woke the next morning with remnants of last night's gathering reverberating in her mind. She could still hear the laughter and lively exchanges, but beneath that joyful noise was an undercurrent of uncertainty. The exhilaration of sharing her story had lifted her spirits, yet the reality of her vulnerabilities lingered uncomfortably in her thoughts. What if her colleagues only saw her faults masked in a sea of bravado? After breakfast, she found herself gravitating toward her laptop. Her fingers hovered over the keyboard as if they were trembling in anticipation. This was her chance to translate that energy into word. Her writing, to elevate her narrative beyond mere words and transform it into something compelling. But the blank document taunted her, a stark reminder of the fear that still loitered in the corners of her mind. "Just write," she muttered to herself. Slowly, almost hesitantly, sentences began to materialize, but they felt suffocated by her self-judgment. She was craving an outlet for that electric vulnerability. How could she express it without lapsing into self-scrutiny? Each keystroke unearthed buried emotions, and with every paragraph, she confronted the fear of inadequacy. Her mind flashed back to Mia's effortless articulation, the way her friend could weave personal anecdotes into engaging discussions. Lisa realized that she had yet to harness her own voice, the wild, chaotic, and beautifully honest perspective that made her unique. A conversation with Mia echoed in her ears. "You have to trust your story," Mia had advised. "The brighter the light, the darker the shadows, but both are part of you." The remnants of doubt began to peel away, replaced by the embers of determination. She couldn't yield to the weight of judgment, not from her colleagues and not from herself. The transformation hinged on embracing and owning her narrative, shadows included. As she typed furiously, an idea struck her. She would share additional pieces that had remained hidden, stories that deepened the rawness, that revealed not only her struggles, but triumphs she had yet to acknowledge. What if these narratives became a mirror for others in her circle? Perhaps through her personal revelations, they too could find the courage to face and voice their insecurities. Realizing her next steps required action, Lisa bolted from her chair and slipped into a pair of running shoes. The fresh air outside beckoned as if it held answers to questions swirling in her mind. With each stride, she could feel her heartbeat syncing with her resolve, the rhythm of her pace matching the cadence of her thoughts. Clearing her mind in the morning sun brought forth clarity. She felt less like an exposed nerve and more like a force propelling herself forward. As she jogged around the block, an interesting epiphany struck. This was a self-inflicted crossroad. To grow, she had to face the fears that chained her quiet confidence. She envisioned the next gathering, an opportunity to dive deeper into her stories while inviting others to do the same. The thought electrified her, yet it also stoked the flames of panic. What if she was met not with validation, but silence? Returning home, she was invigorated yet slightly tremulous. She recognized that stepping back from her hesitations was critical, not only for her development, but also for those within her sphere. Lisa decided then she would propose another gathering. It would be different this time, a space for raw storytelling punctuated by interactive discussions, puncturing the atmosphere of fear with the tools of connection and authenticity. And yet, the question plagued her. Would they embrace this new invitation, or would it serve as another reminder of the fragility that tethered them together? As dusk settled over the horizon and she put pen to paper to draft the new gathering's proposal, that nagging doubt crested like a wave. Lisa began to wonder, was she brave enough to bare her soul again, or would the shadows of her insecurities dictate her path once more? The next morning, Lisa discovered her proposal still sat unfinished on the desk, the ink slightly smudged from the previous night's deliberations. She sat before it, a captivating amalgamation of excitement and dread swirling within her. The same questions had echoed in her mind all night. Was she really prepared to expose her vulnerabilities again? What if this gathering unraveled her instead of drawing her closer to her colleagues? Each day of reflection chipped away at her procrastination like waves eroding a stone cliff. With the notion of engaging in this candid exchange hanging heavily over her, she recognized that her journey was far more significant than the fear of judgment. It was about forming deeper connections, about revealing the layers within herself that others might also resonate with. Lisa could see that her colleagues were navigating their own battles, masked by professional smiles and respectful nods. With this insight, she felt increasingly responsible to provide a safe place for those struggles to surface. Placing her finger against the paper, she traced the outline of her initial words as if summoning the courage buried within. The next logical step became evident. She needed to invite Mia to coffee first. After all, Mia had propelled Lisa's journey to this point, guiding her to trust her narrative. Sitting down with her friend would provide reassurance, a chance to gauge the feasibility of her gathering idea with someone who understood her aspirations and insecurities intimately. The coffee shop simply buzzed with life as she entered, the aroma of freshly brewed espresso promising comfort. As she nestled herself into a corner booth, anticipation painted her thoughts. Would Mia support her idea? Choosing the right moment to introduce the concept weighed heavily on her mind. But when Mia arrived, Lisa was struck by the warmth radiating from her friend. "Hey, you look like you've had a breakthrough," Mia greeted, settling into the seat opposite her. Lisa chuckled awkwardly, her nerves bubbling beneath the surface. "It's more like a breakdown that hasn't happened yet." She took a deep breath, summoning courage. "I'm thinking about hosting another gathering, kind of like last time, but different. I want everyone to share their stories and talk directly about their fears." Mia's eyebrow arched, her expression intrigued. "That sounds bold. What's driving this?" "The thing is," Lisa said, her voice softening, "I think it could really help. I mean, so many of us are grappling with our own challenges. I just want to create a space where nobody feels silenced by fear, where we can embrace our vulnerabilities as strengths." Mia nodded, as if absorbing every word. "And you think you could be vulnerable too? That makes this more poignant, Lisa." Lisa hesitated. "I want to be, but what if they don't respond? It's terrifying to share parts of myself again." Mia leaned forward, her expression serious yet encouraging. "You'll never know unless you try. You have powerful stories to share, and others need to share theirs." The knot of anxiety in Lisa's stomach shifted toward her throat, igniting something raw and genuine within. "But what if my insecurities only drag everyone down?" "Then you face the shadow and you own it," Mia said, her tone resolute. "That's what authenticity is about, Lisa. You'll help people see that sharing their truths matters." Mia's words settled deep within Lisa, resonating long after their conversation ended. Perhaps it was time to confront her fears, to hold her insecurities aloft like trophies rather than hiding them behind walls. Once she returned home, Lisa grabbed her pen and paper, enthusiasm coursing through her veins. Yet as she began drafting a flyer for the gathering, one unsettling thought intruded. What if telling her story meant more than just opening up? What if she had to confront someone she'd avoided for years, the very person who hadn't embraced her vulnerability before? Just as she pondered this, the text message notification lit up her phone, and dread settled back in as she glimpsed the sender's name. She recognized it instantly, and the reply felt burdensome. Meeting tomorrow? Was she truly prepared to face them? Would this next gathering force her to confront her past, or would it simply reaffirm her doubts? Lisa stared at her phone, the screen glowing with the text that sent her heart racing. The name of the sender felt like a ghost from a buried past, lurking just outside her door. Tom. The thought of meeting him again kindled a mix of curiosity and dread that threatened to devour her resolve. She tossed the phone aside. What could a meeting with him reveal? Would it undermine her efforts to foster vulnerability, or fuel her ambition to create this gathering? Lisa felt a surge of frustration as she fought against an urge to dismiss the idea altogether. This time was meant for growth, not wrestling with someone who had once dismissed her carefully crafted narrative. Despite her instincts screaming to ignore the invitation, Lisa recognized the truth deep down. True growth requires confrontation. If Mia was right about authenticity, then perhaps this meeting might be essential in reframing how she viewed her past. And how could she expect others to confront their truths if she wasn't willing to expose her own? The rest of the night felt surreal, her emotions teetering between fear and empowerment as she began drafting her flyer. As she wrote, she envisioned not just speaking for herself, but aligning with others' vulnerabilities. What better way to lead than through her own lived experiences? That concept ignited a fire inside her, compelling her to set aside thoughts of Tom, at least temporarily. The next day, she practiced her pitch for the gathering, speaking to her reflection. Sharing in this way, it fosters connection and growth. We all have struggles, and acknowledging them is the first step. With each word, she recognized the trepidation edging away. By lunch, she felt ready. Before heading to meet Tom, she decided to stop by Mia's office for a quick pep talk. After sharing her flyers and the plans already taking form, Lisa turned the conversation towards Tom. "It's just the past, right? Something to nail on my cross and be done with?" she joked, but her laughter was hollow. Mia regarded her seriously. "You know he might have changed too, Lisa. Is he still the same person who dismissed you?" Lisa paused, caught off guard. "I guess I don't know. People do grow." "Exactly," Mia exclaimed. "A conversation could help you both. You might discover something new, not just about him, but about yourself." As she headed towards the meeting with Tom, Lisa felt a new sense of clarity dawn upon her. The buzz of apprehension transformed gradually into the rhythm of anticipation. Confronting Tom meant dismantling her position as the victim of her own past. Unraveling that narrative would empower her to own her story fully. Walking into the cafe where they agreed to meet, Lisa took a deep breath, scanning the room for Tom. Memories spiraled through her mind, late-night discussions, laughter, misunderstandings. When she spotted him seated at the far end, fidgeting with a coffee cup, those feelings of fear mingled with determination. What might unfold once she sat down? She approached, each step echoing in the quiet confidence that she had cultivated over the past days. As she reached the table, their eyes locked. For the first time, she saw something different in his gaze, vulnerability that echoed her own. "Lisa," he said, his voice almost hesitant, "thanks for meeting me." The door had opened, and the atmosphere shifted with an unseen thread of possibility. Lisa nodded, her own heart racing. Let's talk. What would this conversation uncover? Would it push her to reclaim lost fragments of her identity? Or would old wounds threaten her newfound path? The moment felt electric with potential, the kind that neither of them could fully comprehend yet. Lisa felt the weight of Tom's gaze as she settled into the chair across from him. The cafe buzzed around them, yet within their small bubble, the clamor faded, pulse quickening with unspoken words. "What's been going on with you?" Tom asked, a seemingly casual opener that belied the depth she sensed was required in this moment. She hesitated, pulling back the veil of her past while firmly reminding herself of the task at hand. "I've been trying to connect in a real way, help others share their stories." The words landed heavy, a vulnerability uncharacteristic of her usual demeanor, yet liberating. Tom leaned back, his expression thoughtful. "I saw your flyers online. It's interesting what you're trying to do." "It feels, I don't know, authentic." "Authenticity," she echoed, mulling over his choice of words. "That's what I'm after. But I can't help but think about our history. You were just as much a part of it as anyone else." The atmosphere shifted, an unseen tension coursing through the air. For once, she wasn't the only one preparing for emotional excavation. Tom's features hardened briefly, then softened, nearly imperceptibly, as the past weighed on him too. "I was an idiot," he admitted, voice strained. "You know that, right? I never appreciated what you brought to the table." This struck Lisa, a blunt confrontation with her past resentment. Did she want to engage in absolution, or was she ready to confront the pain, redefine it? "Self-doubt, often masked as indifference, doesn't make it easier to forgive," she said, staring directly into his eyes. "We both missed out, didn't we?" She felt the flicker of anger, that sharp blade of emotion she thought she had dulled. Yet it was overshadowed by a newfound resolve. There was power in putting voice to the fears and judgments that had tethered her for so long. "I was scared," he confessed, shoulders drooping as if under the burden of the years. "Scared of being vulnerable around someone who opened up so much. It felt overwhelming." Lisa's heart ached at this unexpected acknowledgement. It revealed a common humanity they both shared, an unguarded reminder that vulnerability doesn't come easy for anyone. In his admission, she found a path to understanding, not only his actions, but her own reactions through all those years. "Maybe that's what I've learned," she said slowly. "Vulnerability isn't about losing control. It's actually about reclaiming it." Tom nodded, processing her words, and for a fleeting moment, time seemed to suspend. She realized the stakes felt higher now. It was no longer just about confronting the past, but redefining what that past could mean for her moving forward. "Are you afraid of what people will think?" he asked. The question hovered between them, and as the seconds trickled by, Lisa felt a revelation unfurling inside her. "Every moment leading up to this has challenged me. I'm not afraid of their judgment anymore. I'm afraid of my own." A flicker of something akin to admiration crossed Tom's features. Suddenly, this dynamic felt almost collaborative, a push and pull of growth. "Is it possible we can both grow from this?" he offered. The sincerity in his voice intrigued her. Perhaps he wasn't simply seeking absolution, but genuine connection as well. Their shared past transformed into a living narrative in the present, and Lisa felt the once constrained possibility expand before her, filled with unexpected promise. "I believe it is," she said, her voice steady. As they exchanged smiles layered with understanding, she grasped the truth. This dialogue could be the catalyst for deeper reflection and healing for them both. Yet a lingering question echoed in her mind. Could she harness this shift to elevate her vision and channel it effectively into the gathering she had begun crafting? But then, as if sensing unfinished business, Tom spoke again. "There's so much more to address. I want to know what you think about where we go from here." This simple inquiry ignited an array of thoughts in her mind, leading her to ponder. What would it mean to truly navigate this new relationship while carrying the weight of their past? And wasn't this the very essence of what she needed to discuss in her upcoming gathering? The air turned electric with tantalizing possibilities, and she knew that the conversation was only just beginning. Lisa's mind raced, drifting between the tender vulnerability she had just tapped into and the meticulous planning necessary for her upcoming gathering. Her instincts told her that this moment with Tom could redefine her approach not only to him, but to the entire endeavor. Was there a way to channel this emotional reconnection into something purposeful for others? "I've been thinking about how to create an environment where everyone feels safe to share," she said, her words gaining momentum. "If I can lead with my story, it could encourage them to open up as well. Maybe this is about more than just sharing stories. It's about transforming how we perceive our past and our ability to move forward." Tom watched her with an intensity that both comforted and unnerved her. "That makes a lot of sense, but how do you plan to get people to trust you enough to do that?" His question transported her back to the moments when she had hesitated to voice her own experiences. Those feelings of doubt swirled once again, but she sensed a shift this time. Rather than slipping into fear, she embraced the challenge. "I think I have to be the first to show that I trust them. It starts with me being open, raw even." She recalled her own journey, the awkwardness of standing in front of strangers, revealing her struggles, the risk that accompanied it. It's about creating a ripple effect. The first person shares, the next feels compelled, and suddenly you have a community unafraid of their truth. Tom leaned in. His body language shifted, signaling his growing interest. And what about your own story? How do you navigate sharing your own fears? That question scratched at layers she had yet to peel away. Her eyes flickered with uncertainty. I guess by unpacking it more, finding the right pieces to share. If I can lay it all out and show that I too am a work in progress, maybe I can help others guide their narratives. Sounds like a leap of faith, he offered quietly, the seriousness of his tone grounding her once more. Exactly. I need to embrace the chaos of my journey instead of letting it intimidate me. It's crucial in case I'm going to facilitate this. If I can't confront my own shadows, how can I ignite that light in others? As she spoke, the realization solidified. Confronting personal history with raw honesty was not a thing to dread, but an essential part of the human experience. Lisa sat a little taller, an internal shift palpable within her. I'm starting to see this isn't just about the gathering. It's a validation of who I am. If I can embrace this vulnerability, it has the potential to redefine my entire approach to life. Tom smiled, his previous intensity softening into something warm. I think you're onto something powerful here. But what happens if people resist, or if they can't relate to your experience? A flicker of concern dashed through her, igniting a familiar feeling of defensiveness. It's a risk I have to take, she replied, voice steady, because the alternative is living in fear of judgment, and that's not the example I want to set. Tom smiled, his previous intensity softening into something warm. I think you're onto something powerful here, but what happens if people resist, or if they can't relate to your experience? A flicker of concern dashed through her, igniting a familiar feeling of defensiveness. It's a risk I have to take, she replied, voice steady, because the alternative is living in fear of judgment, and that's not the example I want to set. An electric current charged the air between them, a bright thread of possibility that had yet to fully unfurl. Lisa understood that embracing vulnerability not only opened doors for personal growth, but potentially for collective healing within the group she aimed to build. As their conversation began to simmer down, a nagging thought struck her. Was she equipped to facilitate this transformation? Did she have the skills to navigate the unfolding emotional labyrinth, not just for herself, but for those coming to share? And what if my own story isn't enough? She mused aloud, an unexpected shadow creeping back into her voice. She didn't want to sabotage her own momentum. For the first time, she saw the weight of her self-doubt mirrored in Tom. You are more than enough, Lisa. You're just beginning to discover your true voice, he encouraged, lending her strength she had unknowingly craved. Understanding dawned. It was not about perfecting her narrative. It was about being authentic. She could be the beacon in her own journey, illuminating paths for others in similar darkness. Okay, that's it then, she declared, a newfound determination igniting her spirit. I will lead with my imperfections, my stories. I'll share all the messy facets of my life the same way I want others to share theirs. No more hiding. Tom's eyes reflected a mix of admiration and recognition. In this conversation, she found a kindred spirit, someone who understood the nuance of vulnerability. As they prepared to leave the cafe, an unexpected awareness washed over her. She didn't just want to invite people to share, she wanted to fuel a movement of rediscovery, rewriting their narratives. Could she facilitate something greater than herself? But as she stepped outside, one final anxiety flickered through her. The question that had recently begun to haunt her as she planned this gathering. Could she truly facilitate this transformation when her own sense of self was still in flux? With these thoughts settling into her consciousness, she resolved to face what was left unsaid. The journey had only just begun, and she was determined to redefine every moment of it. In the days that followed, Lisa found her footing amidst the swirling uncertainties. The idea of leading a gathering, of opening the floor for vulnerability, sparked something profound within her. She embraced the challenge, weaving each thread of her experiences into a tapestry that she couldn't wait to share. Determined, she spent countless hours refining her story. No longer consumed by fear of judgment, she painted her narrative with the messiness of life, determined to reflect her authentic self. With every word she wrote, pleasure flooded her. Finally, she was in touch with the writer she had momentarily forgotten. The night of the gathering arrived, an electric anticipation thrumming through her veins. Her living room transformed into a sanctuary of expression and warmth. Friends gathered around, not just colleagues, but a community forged by shared experiences. As they settled in, Lisa realized her initial trepidation was overshadowed by a newfound confidence. She began by laying her story bare, seeds of vulnerability planted in the fertile soil of her freshly formed resolve. Speaking about her journey through self-doubt and her fuel to reclaim parts of herself felt transformative. As the words flowed effortlessly, Lisa could feel the atmosphere crackling with a united spirit of understanding. When she concluded, a silence enveloped the room, one heavy with reflection and connection. Mia was the first to break it, her voice steady. "Thank you for sharing that, Lisa. It resonated with me more than I can express." Encouraged by the initial warmth, others began to speak, sharing their stories of fear and growth. They spoke about their battles, the hesitations that held them back, and how they each fought to unveil their true selves. The night blossomed, cradling a profound sense of belonging, devoid of judgment, drenched in empathy. As the hours passed, Lisa navigated conversations, guiding each participant gently but firmly. When someone hesitated, she leaned in, encouraging them to embrace their thoughts and emotions. Having once shied from taking control, she now exuded a confidence that came from unearthing her truths. Toward the end of the gathering, as she looked around the room, Lisa felt a deep fulfillment settle over her. Vulnerabilities had been shared openly, voices had intermingled in an energetic dance of connection, and everyone left feeling lighter, encouraged to delve deeper within themselves. She had successfully transformed her longing for connection into a movement of authenticity. Weeks later, as she sat in her classroom surrounded by students, a striking realization dawned on her. She had achieved something monumental. Her fears no longer dictated her worth. Instead, she was a force of change, inspiring herself and others through the sharing of stories. The feeling of satisfaction radiated within her like a brilliant flame. Lisa also received unexpected recognition from her colleagues. They approached her, no longer seeing merely a teacher, but a leader in vulnerability. Invitations trickled in for her to speak at various gatherings, not just within the walls of their school, but extending into the community. Her work was recognized not for literary prowess alone, but for touching lives, supporting individuals and overcoming their fears. Looking back, Lisa contrasted her initial hesitation with the present moment, where she radiated confidence and purpose. Her identity was no longer confined to the boundaries of her role as a teacher. She had emerged, recognized for her authenticity, a writer, a connector, a role model who forged paths through raw honesty. The transformation was palpable. Lisa basked in the culmination of her journey and reveled in her newfound identity. Perfectly imperfect, she embraced the future, filled with limitless potential and exciting stories waiting to be told. As the lights dimmed and the school day faded, Lisa found herself composing in her journal, confident in the belief that there was always more to reach for, conquer, and achieve. She had emerged victorious in reclaiming her narrative, no longer suffocated by insecurity, but soaring through the vast skies of possibility. Now, you need to subscribe to the channel immediately so you don't miss the next exclusive emotional stories that will inspire you. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and support creators who pour their hearts into these narratives. Comment your reactions and visions for the future. Your thoughts matter more than you know. And don't wait even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this conclusion. Let's spread the power of overcoming together.